Hello everybody and welcome back to some Mechabellum. I'm going up against People Lucky. It's been an extremely good run in Mechabellum so far. I've been having quite a good win streak recently. I don't know why that little box was there. I ended up with a Rhino Specialist with some Steel Balls and Arc Lights. Been loving the Rhino Specialist recently. It's an extremely strong power swing, and also just having that cash that you can recycle very quickly. It makes your opponent play a little bit differently. My opponent is a cost control specialist, honestly, probably the strongest specialist in the game currently. He has tanks and marksmen, an extremely strong early game setup. Does suffer a little bit as we get into the later game. Things like Stormcallers and any giant units kind of deal with this pretty darn well. Maybe not Vulcan, but I think this was much more powerful 2-3 months ago as opposed to it is now, especially in this setup. A couple of Stormcallers right here would decimate this line, but of course I don't have access to that. Instead, I grabbed some Crawlers. I want to make sure that I can protect my Steel Balls as best as possible. The Steel Balls would do really well with everything in my opponent's army right now, especially because his cost control specialist means his snipers take 3 shots to take down one of my Steel Balls. My plan is just to kind of overflow one flank with these marksmen, hopefully taking a couple of pot shots at the Crawlers, just something to take damage for me in the early game. He doesn't really have any chaff, so having some chaff on my side, not the worst thing in the world. It's just a little bit of help. You know, there's nothing wrong with a tiny bit of help. Deployment specialist here, one of the strongest specialists in the game. Absolutely love it. Super powerful. I'm going to actually just deploy my units on the flanks. He'd already slammed down 2 tanks on the flanks. I was not aware of this at the time. I hate this thing. It never works. I must turn that login thing off every single match. I hope they fix that eventually. Good. I don't know really why he placed this missile here. It's not really too useful. Sure, it will kill one of my arc lights, but unless he's planning a major flanking action here, I don't really see the point of this. I think he was hoping that it would catch all of these units at the same time. It does not. So honestly, money wasted for me. Quite happy with that. My Crawlers do nothing. By the way, I do read all of the comments. You guys said, hey, play at 1.5 speed. So I did. Let me know if this is the speed that you guys prefer. I do think it's a good idea to read those comments and listen to your guys' suggestions. Huge damage on my side. Not great by any means, but here comes my Rhino. So this is my power spike. I have the chance here to grab the supply specialist, and I do. This should help me kind of shore up the economic difference. He goes with the underground threat. Really interesting choice there. I already have enough chaff. I don't really have good wave clear in my backline. I do have a unit of Crawlers here that could fight that, but they would probably be overwhelmed. So I was interested in why he did that. Not a bad choice. Ends up going with the Crawlers that can spawn more Crawlers. Really good way to counter this. Most people just abandon the flanks anyway, so having this there is a really good choice. This is going to slow down my Rhino in a huge way. Stormcaller shots are absolutely crushing it, dealing huge damage to tons of different units, blowing up tanks, killing off Crawlers. They probably killed, what, 15 units already? This guy's at 17. Really good job here. The rest of my Crawlers flow in, protecting my Rhino. And these Stormcallers are still just hammering away, getting tons of kills and dealing a lot of damage, taking out snipers. You gotta love it. Even just some level 1 Stormcallers against a cost control specialist can really make a difference. Normal Stormcaller shots that might not kill a unit, that reduction of 13% HP means that those shots count a lot more. And this little Arc Light finally comes good. He's able to deal a lot of damage in this backline. My Rhino's going to be able to survive a little bit longer here just because his units get weakened. Good little Arc Light, able to survive for a moment. And upgrading your Steel Balls is incredibly important. So the reason that I will choose to upgrade units over playing new units against a cost control specialist is until they get their armor and attack upgrades through the research center, it just builds your units up substantially more. That means that they're not only 100% more HP and more damage, but they also have considerably more health. You know, his units would only go up, they're already negative 13%, so then adding in another doubling on top of that is great. I grab the Whirlwind on my Rhinos just so that I can kill these off exceedingly quickly, and the Whirlwind works extremely well against the Sledgehammers. My opponent makes an extremely good choice here, realizing I have no anti-air to speak of. Grabs a Mothership. Great idea. You know, honestly, my hat's off to him. I was going to play out some Mustang anyways, just to kind of protect my Rhino or protect my steel balls and deal a little bit of damage at a later point once he had deployed some air units. But at this point, you know, obviously it wasn't on my mind because he hadn't deployed any yet. The first ones he deployed, I would just lose a round, but this was a resounding success. Stormcaller shots are still dealing a ton of damage. They're at silver, allied top 3. Not quite for this guy. But you gotta love these little dudes. They came in a round ago, and they're already performing extremely well. I don't have anything that can shoot up here, so I'm just going to speed this up. Yes, this Mothership just kills all of my stuff within this 60 seconds. So really good job on his part by recognizing that I had a major flaw within my army. You know, these guys just have to stare, and die. So it is what it is. I realized also that this Rhino flank is probably not going to go anywhere unless I can get something online immediately to take out these big boys. I probably won't be able to do that, so I'm not too worried about it. But hey, Elite Mustang costs 50 bucks. That's why I grabbed the Supply Specialist. Now I have something that deals with chaff fairly well and deals with flying units fairly well. They're popping in here at 1000 HP with 105 damage. They shoot very quickly. He's going to deploy a Mothership on this flank, which will easily destroy that Rhino. So I just get rid of the Rhino on this side. I had already recycled the crawlers as well, so now I have extra cash to grab a third level 3 Mustang. Really powerful units. He also goes a little bit crazy here and deploys 4 missile interceptors against my 2 Stormcallers. So they'll shoot down every single missile. And I think he realized that his units were all bunching up in the center area here. So he's just going to try and support them a little bit. I was very surprised that my missile actually got through with the number of missile interceptors here. But that's going to go a long way to supporting him throughout this conflict. Just being able to shut down all of my Stormcaller shots is very powerful. My level 3 Mustangs actually make pretty good work of these tanks. And deal a very good job against this Mothership by themselves. That's the power of having just a little bit of safety net in the form of those steel balls to protect your Mustang. These guys shoot so fast, and their damage is pretty darn good in comparison. It just works. It just works. So even though he spent like $450 on deployables that round, I end up only losing by 1 giant unit, which was a deployable as well. So he spent a ton of money on that. I was very happy with that. Yes, I lost, but man, was that good. I end up grabbing the photon coating here and placing it on these Mustang. I was just doing this to... I know that 1 shot from the Overlord is still going to be more than enough to kill the Mustang. I just did this to hold it. My steel balls were too far away for them to actually make good use of the photon coating. So I was like, I'm not going to really worry about it too much. I'll stick it on these guys. They're already kind of out of place. So I'll just have it there in case of some plink damage. Let's say he plays an arc light or something here. They'll be able to survive those shots. I'm also kind of nervous about them getting instantly destroyed by missiles. I was pretty nervous about these guys being instantly destroyed by missiles. So I do play out 1 unit of crawlers here to protect them. And that pseudo works. I also upgrade 1 of these Stormcallers. Upgrading your Stormcallers makes no difference against the missile interceptors, but I figured I'd already killed a lot of the missile interception things, so even if 1 or 2 of those land through, they'll deal a lot of damage to these tanks, and it looks like a couple of shots here or there are making it through. Steel balls, I need more of them. These tanks now have the armor, which means that they're blocking a ton of damage that was being dealt by my Mustangs previously. So I was like, ooh, I did not expect to lose this round. I thought I was going to win this heavily, and that's when I realized, holy crap, I basically dealt no damage to this guy. I grabbed the acid just because I want to kill off those tanks. He grabs the advanced firepower. grab a few more steel balls as well. These guys will deal extremely well with the tanks. Not only that, the crawlers are very annoying. So your tank might kill the steel ball, then all of them will aggro on the crawlers that's attacking them, which means that your steel balls can kind of get in there and deal the damage that needs to be done. I also play a unit of level 2 steel balls here in case of another missile. They're able to survive the missile. I wish I'd put them a little bit closer to the line there. And some Phoenix. Once his main line is dead, he doesn't really have any good anti-air. Snipers are great, but Phoenix work really well against Overlords, at least until the Overlords have Wasps. And you know what does with Wasps really well? Our Mustang. So hopefully this will give my little Mustang here enough of a buffer line to actually take those out. Steel Ball should do fairly well. Yeah, kills off some of my Mustang. Not a big deal. There's the acid. The acid does surprisingly little against the tanks. I thought it would be chipping away at their health considerably faster. It just isn't. I guess that armor plating reduces the damage that they take from the acid. I was really surprised by that. Phoenix are performing very well here, already up to 5 kills on these tanks, dealing top 1 damage for the round, I believe. Exactly what I wanted them to be doing. And now that I have 1 or 2 Mustang or 1 or 2 just little units left over, my Phoenix can come in here and kind of sweep this up, including getting rid of all these missile interceptors, which should allow these guys to get back online and deal a lot of damage. You know, obviously you can re-spend on those missile interceptors, but most people don't, because that's another 400 around. It would cost him $800 to deal with my 2 Stormcallers, so I doubt he would do that. Well, this ends up going my way. I was really happy with these Phoenix. I was glad I played them out. Little bit of damage. Round 8. You normally don't get this far in a round of Mechabellum, but, you know, it is what it is. We both go with the orbital bombardment here. We both realize that there's a central point where the units are taking a lot of damage. I grab it over on this flank just because I want to deal the damage to these snipers. If I get rid of the snipers, I don't really need to worry about these overlords. You know, the overlords, not super dangerous. Mass upgrades for my Stormcallers just because they can now get in here and deal significant damage to the tanks. Definitely worthwhile with those things being gone. Not only that, I noticed that he has this hacker. So if the hacker ends up grabbing shields, I want my Stormcallers to be able to demolish that shield very quickly. And then I play out some more Phoenix with shields as well. The energy shields, not the big shields like the hackers get, the barriers. Very important here, just because I need them to be able to survive a sniper shot, and they deal with the tanks very well. They also deal with this crap really well. I keep this missile coming out just because I want my Stormcallers the next round to be hitting the hackers. These Mustang do an okay job. He had recycled an Overlord and pushed it back. Really good play on his part. It means that I don't have as many Mustang, especially after that orbital bombardment just neutered my flank. But my center is doing extremely well, and a big part of that is because my missile interceptors were, most of his missile interceptors were shooting in this little pocket. He deployed them too far back, and he deployed a lot of them again. So I was extremely happy with this. I was able to deal a ton of damage to him because of it, and that's a lot of money wasted. That's another 300 bucks that he's not getting back. So very, very chuffed about that. He grabs a barrier, not a bad choice. I was debating between the amp core or the barrier here. You know, obviously some melting points would do extremely well in this position. You know, he's already got 2 flying units, and he's got some super heavy tanks. I want to be able to kill those tanks as quickly as possible, so I grab a couple of melting points, put the barrier on the bad boy. That way he's ready to rock and roll as soon as possible. Interestingly, my opponent plays some Vulcan. You know, I wasn't thinking that Vulcan were the things, or that my units, you know, were like too chaff heavy. I guess I do have quite a few Mustang and a few units of crawlers, which are an issue for him for sure, but I didn't think that was the big problem. Upgrade a lot of my Phoenix, play a missile in the backline just in case the mothership comes down. I did want to stun it. Also, I thought I might be able to kill him this round, so I do the rapid resupply again. This is my 2nd time in a row doing it. play out the high mobility and the enhanced range. Just really powerful abilities that you can play per round in order to ensure that you're dealing damage. I was more okay with playing the rapid resupply quite a bit because he was wasting a lot of money on missile interceptors. So I was pretty happy with that. Also upgrading my arc lights in the background. It's a cheap, easy upgrade, and importantly, it allows my my arc lights to deal with the chaff significantly quicker. These melting points are doing a great job just pumping out a lot of damage. There isn't really a large threat to them besides these snipers. The overlords can deal with them eventually. In fact, this one does, but because they're only level 1 overlords, it takes them several volleys to kill a melting point. So I was like, heck yeah, let's do that. I believe I go with the missile here just because it just works. My shields have been taking a little bit of damage and surviving, so I was actually quite happy that I used a rapid resupply and they'd survived. We're both massively in the danger zone now. Big upgrades for me. I do grab the missile and I place it here. If I can get rid of this chaff, it should be really easy for me to take care of this overlord. Range on the melting point, just so that it's able to kill anything that pops out. Good missile on my opponent's part. I think the missile does 3,000. Yeah, so it will kill these Mustang. Unfortunately, these level 4 Mustang are going to die. I was really debating about getting rid of these guys and putting the photon coating on one of my melting points. I just didn't know if it would ever be enough. I didn't think that the melting points would come into damage at that point. So I ended up just kind of leaving the photon coating on these guys. It really didn't help them in any way, so kind of a mistake on my part. But, you know, we all make mistakes, I guess. Still no missile interceptors. I think he should have probably deployed some this round, just because he should have been a little bit more worried about my Stormcallers killing off all of his chaff, which they do extremely quickly. Those shields really didn't matter here, so I was really, really happy about that. Lasers are popping out, just dealing a ton of damage, able to cut through all of this stuff. The advanced range, really important. He never grabbed range on his snipers, so I knew that my melting points would be far or have the highest range in this battle. I think even more than my Stormcallers now. Stormcallers had slightly more range. Very good win here. Let's move into our after-action report. So what could we have done differently? One, I think maybe actually having some Fang in the front to follow these crawlers in. The crawlers would almost certainly run ahead of them. So if I had 1 or 2 Fang here as well, it could have delayed some of these attacks. Not by much, but hey, if they absorbed a single sniper shot, that's pretty darn good. The overlords never really became a problem, so I didn't spec any more into these Mustang, given that they're already level 3 and level 4. Extremely powerful. I could have possibly played out another couple of missile interceptors, or sorry, excuse me, another couple of Stormcallers and gone for the Stormcaller cheese. If I'd positioned them right about here, they may have aggroed on this, instantly killing both towers and allowing me to win the round very easily. Possible. You know, I'm not saying that would have been a great play, but it would have allowed my units to get in there and deal a lot of damage. My opponent really centralized here, and I think he was dissuaded from playing the missile interceptors because they kept being destroyed and overwhelmed. And it is true that, you know, obviously that $400, $700-ish that he spent throughout the game on those missile interceptors was 1 or 2 upgrades he could have used on units. And over time, those upgrades on units are better. But these level 3 Stormcallers and these level 4 Stormcallers did a lot of damage. They're both in my allied top 1 for damage and allied top 2 for total damage. So really, really did a great job on just continuing to deal just a ton of damage over time to his units. So this needed to be shut down. He didn't really have a great answer to my melting points. I think playing another couple of crawlers at the front may have helped delay that a little bit, but that's why I kept these arc lights around, just so that they can support them. Arc lights are a great little backbone to your army. He really was shut down early from playing any flanking units because of these level 4 Mustangs. They'll kill basically anything that teleports in, so that really wasn't much of an option to him. But tell me your guys' thoughts, what you think could have been done differently. I really appreciate it if you guys would send me some of your replays. I'd be really interested in seeing what it is and how it is that you guys play. I will see you in the future. Goodbye. Like and subscribe.